I'm Neil.
And I'm Matt, and we are the Invention Junkies.
We lost our jobs at a high-tech startup, so have 3 months to start a successful design business on our own.
Listen in to follow our story, relive our failures, and join us on this hilarious race against the clock.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We're on. We're live. We're rolling. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, Matthew. How the devil are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Right, well, I've been looking forward to today because I think last week was a good one and more to talk about. We've had a brilliant week. Things are moving very fast. There's lots to do. No time to do it. Let's give everybody a bit of an update on what the heck we've been doing.
Yeah, I think we've got into the swing of it. I'm feeling like there's some momentum behind the podcast, behind everything that we're doing. The listens keep coming in, so I think we're doing something right. Yeah. And the feedback that we've been getting is really useful. So just a quick nod to everyone that's been, sending us messages. Thank you. Keep it coming. We will keep trying to make this better. But go on. Let's start with something that we watched this week.
Yeah, you're probably going to do a better job of explaining it than I am, but I'll give you an intro, then you can pick up all the bits I missed. So we're looking at launching a product on Kickstarter. That's our thing. So we're doing a lot of research on how to make that as successful as possible. And in parallel to that, I'm doing a marketing course in the evenings to learn how to do marketing a bit better. Or actually learn how to do marketing from scratch because I had no idea how to do it before. And a common theme's come up, and that is how important it is to build a community. So it's not about, make a thing, sell a thing. It's all about bringing people together with this community that you build, and that's so important. And we had a video that we watched from the creator of the game Exploding Kittens, which was one of the top-selling games on Kickstarter history, something like that. It was a card game, and the guy gave a sort of a explanation on what they did and how they did it. And Matt, I'm going to let you take over.
Yeah, so Ellen Lee is one of the 3 co-creators of the Exploding Kittens game and then subsequent franchise. They got together, turned a game that the Oatmeal was already... it was the Oatmeal came in and turned a game that Ellen Lee had been working on into what it became. And I think that the focus of the talk, it was a Google Ideas discussion. We'll post that link in the description for the podcast so you can check it out, because I really recommend watching it. But the focus was that they had hit their Kickstarter campaign target. So the way it works is you say, I want to raise, £10,000 so I can get the tooling to make this thing, or I want to raise £10,000 so I can print the cards properly so that you can play this card game. And they hit that target in 20 minutes. I can't remember what the target was. It was a significant amount of money because they had high ambitions, but they hit it in 20 minutes. And within a day, they were something like $1 million raised. So they're over raising. You can raise more money than you initially set out to on Kickstarter. That's the way it works. And so he said, they were sitting in this room and they were like, well, we can either, watch the funding slowly trickle down and stop coming in, or we can aim for the top position on Kickstarter. And there was another product that was on Kickstarter that had raised something like 8.5 million thereabouts. And they said, nah, let's do this. And what they saw was this trend between the fundraising of this other campaign and other campaigns that they looked at and their engagement with the community. And their Kickstarter campaign, this Exploding Kittens game, is all about having fun, playing, and connecting groups of people. So they went, we're not about fundraising. We've hit our target. Let's just ignore that for the time being. We're not obsessed with the money. We want to create a community. We want to raise a crowd of people that are engaged with us, with each other, that are going to make this thing something that everyone wants to be a part of. And I went back to have a look at the campaign. I didn't fund that one. I funded, pledged to other campaigns that they've done since then. The comments section of Exploding Kittens is still going. There
Still?
are over 120,000 comments,
Oh my
and there are
God.
people that come back semi-regularly to kind of like post updates on how their life is going or to check in with their friends or whatever. And I think that just like is it 10 years, maybe longer since this thing launched? They hit the top spot. They weren't just the best funded game on Kickstarter. They were the best funded campaign ever on Kickstarter for a while. I'm not sure if they still have that position. I haven't checked. But the point was, don't focus on raising money. Focus on raising a community. And it's a really nice talk. He talks about loads of other ways that he's done that in different projects. Really interesting lesson. But it spoke a lot to us because we're always talking about how we can engage with people, how we can get that feedback on making the next product, because we want to be led by the people that are listening, the people that have problems.
It's more so we've talked about how we want to encourage a culture of thinking about how much you buy that you don't need and those sorts of things, and how to cherish products, and that's partly why we started this podcast, because we thought if people understand what our passions are, what our motivation is, what's driving us, and they agree with it, then they can join us on the journey, and then we'll have advocates for what it is that we're building, and they share it with other people who also believe in the same things. And so it spoke to all of the things that we're going for and all the ways that we want to get there. So that's our, what are we calling this one? It's not theme of the week.
I think we'll get over-segmented if we keep coming up with jingles for all the different parts of the show.
Oh, come on a jingle. However, Matt, this does lead us on to theme of the week.
Yeah, nice. Nailed that one. Go on, take it away, Neil.
So we've been, as last week we mentioned, we were doing a lot of surveying and user interviews. So we did a round of online forms, and a few of them are still going. We've still got some answers trickling in, which is nice to see. We're building the data behind that. And we then have taken it to interviewing people. And we mentioned last week that interviewing people gives you so much more, because you can pick up you can drill down into points where there might be hesitation or whatever it is. And the theme is on communication and just some of the tricks, or not tricks, I guess tools of how to listen properly. And I've heard these things a few times. It's not until I've actually seen it demonstrated that it makes sense. So they say there's the power of silence. If you ask someone a question and they are thinking about it, you very easily want to say, fill in that silence and say, oh, because of this, or is it this, and you want to keep talking because it just naturally feels uncomfortable. I challenge everybody to practice asking a question and just biting their lip, sitting on their hands and do nothing, and just wait for that silence to ring out and let it work its magic, because it really does. It means that if that person's really thinking about something, you're not then changing the track and you're letting them sort of really give you a good answer. That's tool number one. And the other one is a combination of mirroring and labeling. Now, this comes from a book that we've read called Never Split the Difference, which is a negotiation book I highly recommend. We can put a link to that one as well. And you might think, well, I don't negotiate in my day-to-day life, but I bet you negotiate everything to, what time you're going to leave, even in your family, what we're going to have for dinner. It's always a discussion. Do you want this? Do you want that? And, that's a negotiation, right? So
every dialogue is a negotiation.
Exactly. Mirroring is where you show your listening by just repeating the last sort of few words back. And
the last few words back?
Yeah. So you just sort of like, you would just say the last few words, maybe with a rising intonation, to sort of question what it is, so that the person, might give a little bit more detail.
A bit more detail?
Yeah, so they'll say, if they give an example of, they have too many clothes, and they might say, oh yeah, my cupboards are too full, and you say, oh, cupboards are too full, and they say, yeah, because all of this, and they'll really sort of give a lot more detail, and then you sort of really dig down into the root cause of the issue.
Oh, so it sounds like you you have a problem with having too many clothes?
Yeah, I think I do. And that was a great label. So then the labeling is where you label the emotion. So, or what the person's feeling. And you say, it sounds like, it seems like, I think there's another word that was recommended.
It looks like, yeah.
Looks like, yeah. And so you're just really just agreeing with them by sort of saying what they're saying, what the root cause is. So, oh, it looks like this, seems like that, and they go, yeah, exactly, and they'll talk more to it, and it's a real sort of very easy way just to really get down to the root of what they're talking about. It works so well with kids. Not all kids. I've got 2 children. One is very responsive to this. So if she's upset about something, more often than not, she just wants to feel heard. She just wants you to feel her pain and feel like you're on her side. So you say, oh, that sounds like that was really upsetting. Yeah, it was, but no. So you can really sort of mirror and label and more often than not, just going through that conversation stops the tantrums with children, stops the upset, because they're like, oh, okay, it's validated. You're on my side. I'll move on. So we did a lot of that with our interviews, our in-person interviews. They're just tools that we've learnt along the way to help to really understand the root of people's problems, and we're putting those root causes into the products that we're coming up with, and I guess that leads nicely on to what we've done this week.
Just before we get to that, one of my favourite things with mirroring is just picking a single word. So people will have their own dialects or terminology for things. So I learnt a word in the last week, which was floordrobe. I love this word. I think it's brilliant, and it gives you a hint at what we're looking at. But if someone says, oh yeah, and I just I chuck it on the floordrobe, and you go, the floordrobe? And they go, oh yeah, it's where I keep, and that's just, it's such a nice segue, because you're mirroring using someone's own language. And I think that's the art of mirroring, is you are saying something back to someone in the way that they've already said it. So it resonates, and it gets through a few of those layers that you're already trying to get through when you're communicating. And on the listening challenge, see how long you can go without saying something. The art of sitting there silently, looking at someone intently, showing that you're listening. It's not about ignoring them or anything. But see how long you can go. You can nod, you can make noises. But if you can go half an hour without saying anything, then you've just had this brilliant experience of someone sharing something, usually quite deep, if you've been able to go that long without talking. But it's fantastic if you can get. I really, really encourage people to practice these things.
Yeah, and practice is the key word, because it sounds easy, but it's definitely not. It takes a lot of energy. So sometimes I think I should be mirroring and labeling, but I just don't have the energy for this. But it does take practice, and I think you do tend to get in a bit of a mindset with it, and then that tends to be how you talk to someone. That's sort of the tools that you sort of call on naturally.
Yeah, and it does feel incredibly uncomfortable as well when you're first starting out with all of this. The mirroring in particular, but also labeling, saying something like, "Oh, it seems like you're unhappy." It's like, oh, they're going to think I'm such an idiot. I'm saying something so obvious. And then they're like, yeah, I am unhappy. And you're like, oh,
yeah.
They didn't see that I just did that. Okay,
yeah, and
great.
you expect them to go, what a stupid thing to say. Of course I'm unhappy, you idiot. But yeah. Rarely does it happen.
Yeah. So I think, as we've said, it's been a mega week. We say it every week because this is just an absolute whirlwind of a journey. Should we talk about some of our highlights from the week?
Yes, I think we should do that.
So, we had an in-person day. Neil finally made it to the other end of the journey.
I did.
Which was hosted by me. And I think it was fun. We had a lot of fun, actually, doing something that we've been really waiting to get to, which is starting the ideation process. I think we'll come back to that in a second, but that's just some of the other highlights of the week, and then we can dig into some of the detail parts as well.
So we did a lot of Kickstarter research, and I think we've mentioned it a few weeks, but I was explaining to someone yesterday about it, and they wasn't familiar with the platform, so I think it's probably worth just sort of giving a bit of detail on that so everyone knows what it is we're up against. So Kickstarter is a platform to kickstart new product ideas. Products, it could be anything from it doesn't have to be a physical product. It could be a software product. It could be, I think there's even like books and plays and things like that. It could be anything that you're trying to sell. And the concept is that you have a campaign running for, I think it's 30 days, is that it? Or do you pick your length?
I think they're all 30 days,
And you can, so you pledge what it is that you pitch what it is that you're creating. You normally, you have to have a prototype and show what it is. But it means that you don't have to have all of the money going into manufacturing yet. So people pledge that they buy one in advance, basically, and it could be months in advance, knowing that money that they've pledged then goes into the manufacturing. So if you've got something that needs, there's a high upfront cost for tooling, but it means it's a lot cheaper if you make, 10,000 units or so, then it means that you don't personally have to put that money in and take the risk that no one's going to buy it. You only then go forward with the tooling costs if you've got enough people to back it and say, yeah, I'll buy it when it's made. So it's a nice way for people to support new projects, kickstart new businesses, kickstart new project ideas, and exactly what we're trying to do. So it's a great platform for making that happen. So all of our research this week has been into what successful products they've been similar to what we're looking at, and how they've made it successful, and really sort of understanding the best way we can make it as successful as possible.
Yeah, I think just to put it another way, it's an investment platform, but instead of equity, you get the thing that the person is making. So one of the most successful campaigns, or at least that's promoted on the platform, is a music album where the creators, the guys that were coming up with the music, needed to publish and do this, and they were able to do it without going through a record label, which is very expensive, because they did their own marketing and their own music videos and stuff like that. So people who have a belief in a project or in a creator can pledge the various tiers of reward to help them along the journey. And we think that this is a really good way of creating a crowd and a community that believe in your product, rather than just making something, setting it on a shelf and having no interface with your users. We want people to be using our product and telling us what they like and what they don't like so we can make it better.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, we had an in-person day. That was midweek. We had our research behind us. We had our interview and survey questions behind us, and we were really starting to drill down on some problems. And we had your wall got covered in Post-its and and notes. And I think one of my personal highlights when you're like, yeah, I'm easy. I don't care about the walls. I'm moving soon. And then I went to write on a Post-it and you're like, whoa, careful it doesn't bleed through the walls. Thought you didn't care, Matt.
You don't have to be a maniac about it, though.
Yeah, it was a good day. I think I stayed an hour later than I'd planned to. At that time, just disappeared.
Yeah.
It was like, I knew he was going to go an hour ago. So, oh, crikey, yeah. Hit the traffic, but never mind. It was worth it.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to save some of the exciting developments for next week's podcast, because they're spilling over into next week. It's starting this process of ideation, of drawing, of weeding out good ideas and bad ideas. And I think if we went on about that too long today, then we'd have nothing left to talk about next week, because I'm sure that the bulk of our effort next week is going to be in a really exciting step of creation, prototyping, and testing out ideas.
All I'll tease and say is that we use a couple of idea generating tools, and we, in the space of an hour, I think we come up with, over 100 different ideas, quite easily as well.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a couple of things you can do that just encourage you to churn ideas out very quickly. And We'll cover that next week, so tune in and we'll show you what we did. The other good thing that came out of this week was, I think, Matt, you gave a speech that any great leader would have been jealous of.
A rousing speech. We did our classic, Neil looked at me and he was like, okay, I need to get out. I've just had, what was it, your second coffee. You're like buzzing to get out the door. I need to go for a walk. And I was like, okay, that's probably a good time to go for a walk, right? Let's go for a walk. And we were kind of like umming and ahhing about where our time had gone on the day. We've done a bit of user journey mapping, which we'll explain next week. Nice hook. And we were worried that we'd got off topic and off focus and we weren't focusing on the right things. And I think I just said what you were thinking, which was a little bit of labeling and mirroring, which is maybe why you enjoyed the speech so much.
Probably. I think it was, so I was worried that we're focusing on a wrong problem when we've had some mixed feedback. And it's that whole decision paralysis thing of you don't want to jump into the wrong thing because this is the point. It's much harder to go back. And we'd had sort of some validation for something, and I wasn't sure if we wanted to then sort of come back and validate another stream, another avenue to go down. And yeah, then you go. I mean, I didn't record it. I can't remember what you said. Just like, it was on par with Martin Luther King sort of thing. It was an "I Have a Dream" speech.
I maybe wouldn't go that far, but I'm flattered.
But by the end of it, I thought, yeah, let's do this, Matt. Let's go all in. And I think I applauded and got a few strange looks, but it was.
Yeah, we were passing a bus stop, and you're like, "Yeah, that was a great speech," and you're like, and I'm just like, "Oh god, this is a bit awkward."
Yeah.
Why? I think I haven't even said my favourite part of the day, which was it's nice to remain humble when you're setting out on these journeys, and there's no reason for us not to remain humble. It's not like we've made millions of pounds or anything, but I looked up at you scribbling away on post-its on the wall as we're trying to make do with the various tools that we've collected over the years, and I could just see your big toe sticking out through your sock, and I thought, right, yeah, this is the sign of people that need new socks but won't buy them because 90% of the sock is fine.
Well, yeah, exactly. Just needs a little stitch in the end, and it will last me many more visits to your house, I'm sure. Times are tough, Matt. You can't just be chucking away socks for one hole. You've got to have at least 10 holes before you chuck a sock out.
And then it just becomes trousers.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants the classic dad joke, you say to someone they got a hole in their sock. And then, no, I haven't. He said, well, how'd you get your foot in then? And they'll groan, but you feel like you've served your purpose and told the rubbish joke. So I think I did drop that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Right, let's do it, Matt. Give us our intro to our next segment, which is...
Problem of the week.
Nicely done.
It's going to get bigger and bigger until we get to week 10 and I'm in an outfit doing a dance or something.
Or hiring a brass band to...
Yeah. Right, so I know very little about Problem of the Week this week because you've been very mysterious and you wanted to build up suspense, and I'm a little bit concerned because I know enough to know that I should be concerned. What I've been told is broadly what the topic is, and I've been told that I'm going to be Googling something in a minute.
Yeah.
And Neil wants to capture my reaction to what I'm Googling. So... take it away.
Well, we have typically done a first world type problem that isn't a real problem, just an annoyance that people have because we're lucky enough to live in a first world country and don't have real problems all the time. However, this one is big, so it's a little bit off topic for what we normally do, and the problem is, unfortunately, it's episode 5, and we got there. We're talking about poo.
We made it 4 episodes before poo came out.
Just like any conversation we have in the day, always ends up with poo. So the problem is sewage companies, water treatment companies, dumping raw sewer in rivers and oceans. And I feel very passionate about this one because I like to spend my time on the water. And I don't think everyone is aware of just how much this is happening and how disgusting it is. So when I go, I like to go out windsurfing. I like to go out kayaking. Also swimming in the sea when the weather's nice. And you might normally say, "Oh, I'll check the weather." Oh yeah, the sun's good. Wind's low or wind's up. I might check the tide to see whether the tide's up. Whether it's the right conditions for what you want to do. And now I have to check the poo forecast to make sure no sewage companies have dumped in the last 48 hours because I don't want to get sweet corn in my teeth as I'm swimming. And
Oh God, that is just too far. You need to learn to swim with your mouth shut.
fish.
Trying to catch dinner. Are times really that tough?
How do you swim? You bring it in your mouth and you push out the blowhole. Right, let's get back. This has gone way off script. Right, okay. So Matt, I would like you to open up a browser.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'd like you to Google sewage spill map. And you get
Sewage spill.
or map or sewage map, and there's lots of companies that all the data, all companies have to explain, have to show when they're dumping sewage, and there's quite a few maps out there. I have an app on my phone, and I use that one. I use the Surfers Against Sewage, I think it's called, and it's horrendous when you look at it because you don't realise just how frequently these sewage companies are dumping and how many of them there are. So if you look around all of the UK, at the moment, it's pretty good because we haven't had much rain, and this typically happens when lots of rainfall occurs and the gutters get overwhelmed with rainwater, and the sewage companies can't process it as quick as it's coming in. So they just overflow dump, and they just dump in the sea or dump in the rivers, and it's happening everywhere. And if you look, it depends on the one that you're on. There's a one around Reading, I think, dumping into a river. When I checked yesterday, it'd been going for the last 4 days, non-stop pumping. It was like 188 hours, just pumping poo into a river in Reading. So people aren't aware of this. You know, they're having nice walks along the river, and it's disgusting.
I don't understand. What? Why are we just dumping sewage? This doesn't make sense to me. Why are we not like? I thought we had sewage treatment. I thought this was a thing. We had developed technology to clean water. Why?
Good question, Matt. That is a great question.
This is like medieval times. Like, oh, I've just got this thing that I don't want. I'll chuck it in the river. Don't care who's downstream. What?
Yeah, we do this all the time. Okay, I'll give you a little statistic here. So there is a report we'll link to. It was, I think it's 2008 to 2011, something like that. It was a study. It was issued by food agency, food.gov, whatever it's called. They sampled oysters from 50 oyster harvesting areas around the UK. Now, oysters are filter feeders, so that means they suck in the water, they eat whatever's in the water, and then they spit out the clean water, so they filter it through. So, if that's poo, that's going in the oyster, filtering it through. So, between October and March, 90% of the oysters that they sampled contained the Norovirus, and the Norovirus comes from bacteria in human waste. So when you see someone sharing a picture of their oysters they're having on holiday and living the high life, you can sit easy thinking, well, you're probably eating someone's poo right there because that oysters more than 90% chance that's what's happened.
How do you like your oysters?
I'm not going to make another sweet corn joke, I promise.
Oh, God.
Right.
This is...
Okay.
I'm very close to gagging. Please, I need to move on from this topic.
Okay. Here's the problem. rainwater overflows the guttering systems. Sewage companies can't pump it quick enough. That overspills. We could do something sensible about this problem and say, oh, well then we need to stop the sewage bosses having big bonuses, and that money needs to go and investing into the network and all of these things. But I don't think that's the spirit of this segment. I think we need to be a little bit more creative with our problem solving. There are things people are doing, like apparently having driveways is causing an issue because that rainwater, rather than going into the ground, then goes into the guttering system. So that the more tarmac and concrete we pour down is making this issue worse. We're mixing rainwater with sewage water. It should be that we have a separate system for runoff water that just can, needs a different type of treatment rather than having to be chemically treated and all of these things. These are all very sensible ways to solve the problem. I think we need to jump on that double diamond, Matt, and go for a little surf along the the poo stream and come up with a much stupider solution.
Yeah, well, the first thing that jumps to mind is, why are we pumping the sewage out to sea? It's just upsetting me. I can't get past this. So people don't see it as a problem. People don't realise it's a problem. So I think we should make it a problem for everyone. We should pump it inland, and you're not allowed to go on the street when it's been heavy rainfall because there's just going to be crap everywhere. And now you can't ignore the problem.
Yeah, good one.
I'm sure people would get very creative very quickly.
I was thinking about how the whole toilet system works in the first place.
Yeah.
You've heard of face tube, right?
You know what? I'm liking the sounds of this already. Wait, no, I'm not. I've just realised where this is going. I thought we were going to the root of the problem, and you were just going to say, we'll stop people crapping.
Well, actually, that was another idea I had, because the last winter you could opt in to be rewarded for using your energy at different times of the day. So if you had if you don't use it between a peak time, then you get rewarded, whatever it was. So do the same with flushing your loos. So
it's crap o'clock.
So you need to retrain your body. So you get up in the morning and you're like, nope, I'm going to plug that one up. I'm not dropping the kids off at the pool today. They are staying in the car until later on.
Just imagine your kids like before bed. I really need the loo. No, you're going to hold it until 1 a.m. when it's cheaper to crap.
Yeah. I mean, there's also, you could go to making people having to dig a hole in the back garden. Let it naturally go into the earth. I don't know how long that would, the long-term effects of that. But
I think there's a reason we moved to sewage systems.
Yeah.
But I think one of the problems is probably that the sewage system hasn't been updated for years and years and years. And I remember seeing something about the fatbergs that are coagulated bits of stuff that doesn't dissolve and blocks the sewers, and how all of these water companies are trying to battle against basically increasingly unhealthy people and their unhealthy bowel movements.
Yeah. I mean, there's another way you could... We don't have to mix it with water. You could do like they do in Thailand with elephant poo, and they recycle it into paper. So I'm sure there's a way to repurpose our crap. I know there was a TV show once that I saw where... who's the guy that did like the Grand Designs?
Kevin MacLeod.
Yeah, that was it. He did a thing a while ago where he had like an off-grid... like a little hut in the woods somewhere, and he went into a sewer with a little bucket and scooped up some poop and repurposed it into fuel for a lamp. I think it had to be some chemical treating or whatever, but there's no reason we couldn't do that. Repurpose our poop to be used as energy for our homes. What's the problem with that?
What do you mean, what's the problem with that? Let me just grab a pile of my crap and set fire to it so that I've got light.
Well, it's either that or you swim in it, Matt. It's one or the other. You're making this mess. You've got to do something with it, right?
Also, want to just go back to you wanting to make paper out of your sweet corn. Like, please, can we not? Oh, that was lunch on Monday. Becomes a bit of a diary, doesn't it?
Oh god! All right, I had one last idea.
Okay.
And that is that you could treat it at the source. So rather than you invent some form of additive to your food, that means that when it breaks down, it's just it comes out clean. So it's just like you move the treatment from the plant to your insides. You might have to drink a few enzymes or
acids,
bits of neutralizers. But it's just basically clean water that comes out. So, so if you're ever thirsty when you're going for a walk, you're like, I'm just going to refill my drinker. Hang on a sec. Don't worry, it's filtered.
I don't even want to think about when you get to the end of the filter's lifespan.
Right.
I think we have successfully failed at this week's Problem of the Week segment, and I'm very happy about that because hopefully it will get everyone thinking about how to actually solve this problem.
Yeah. We'll put some links from what we've mentioned today and what you can do about it. It's a big problem. Everyone sort of sees it in the news, but I don't think everyone understands just how frequently this is happening and how disgusting. Well, everyone knows how disgusting it is, but it's out of sight, out of mind. And if you don't see it with your own eyes, it's hard to be passionate about it.
Look on a map, because there were places not directly close to where I am at the moment, but close enough that it's scary because I'm inland. You're on the coast, but there are places that were active at the moment, and I don't like the thought of that.
Yeah, just pumping poop. That's all they're doing. Okay, so
moving on.
Yes, let's move on from that. We would like some of your problems for us to solve. So
we need you to send us your problems.
Yeah, and you can write into us. You know where to find us. We have lots of socials. Pick your favourite and send us a message. Or if you're feeling brave, you can send us a voice message and we'll play it out. Tell us your problem. Tell us why it's a problem. And we will put our heads together and we'll fix this problem for you. Don't worry about it. We have got some great ideas.
Yeah, but we do also maintain all the rights, TMC, copyright, IP. Sure. I think if I say that counts, right? The lawyers tell me that works. So
yeah. So you can't have FaceTube anymore. You can't have BumTube. They're gone.
You'd managed to not say it. Why did you have to say it?
I don't know. Couldn't help it.
Right. That's it. I'm done. I'm calling this.
What?
Join us next week where we will update you on how big the hole has got in Neil's sock and if we have survived another week with no income. That's it. Thanks for joining us. Invention Junkies out.